What you can see on screen right now is an illustration. It's a vision. We wanted to draw a master plan so that we had something to discuss and something to debate. By no means is this a fixed solution. It's extremely fluid. But what it does do is it starts to illustrate the building blocks that start to be informed by all of the analysis and the key moves and the design principles that we Lindsay and I have just taken you through. So just to pick out a few key points before I hand over to Lindsay, who will start to analyse the space between the buildings in a lot more detail. And then I'll follow on with a bit more in terms of the buildings themselves as we get stuck into a bit more of the detail in and around the master plan. So some key things. The community hub. The community hub is a building that we've identified that as having multiple uses in terms of community events, NHS drop-in centre, library, cultural gallery, gym. These are the things that it could be. We're not prescribing what that building is, but we have located it there because we thought it was appropriate, A, in terms of proximity to Bury New Road and having a public face coming in off there into the master plan as that key gateway, as where number 4 is, and also the dialogue that it sets up with the primary school. So there's quite a community focused edge there. But again, we're here to listen. We're not fixed on where that building might be, and it can move in and around the master plan. Number 2, the beating heart of the Prestwich village, the village square. We thought long and hard about where that goes, but we do feel that it's appropriate. It's a 4-edge square, so it's surrounded by buildings that have retail frontage at ground floor and also community focus. It's located to work with Sunpath, so with a southerly aspect going into a southwesterly aspect. We're looking at the placement of buildings around that, the height of buildings, in order that we can really maximise the daytime, evening and nighttime use of that space. Spaces for independent businesses. So if we go back to one of the key moves that I described earlier about retail edges, in and around the square, number 3, we're starting to create this retail hub, this retail activity, setting up a dialogue with the existing retail along Bury New Road and how that starts to filter into the master plan and setting up a retail 4-edge square. A sense of arrival. There are 2 number 4s that you can see there, but in truth there are more. But it's creating that firm handshake that we as architects like to describe how you arrive into the space. These key gateways that bring you in. A people first place. So again, this idea of Rectory Lane, creating new green space, de-engineering roads, removing the car as much as we can, albeit we have to accept the fact that cars still need to come into the space, into the master plan sensitively for servicing and access and existing communities in and around the master plan. But how do we refine, reduce, and give back to the pedestrian? Homes for all, so creating new residential communities. Again, we want to make sure that this master plan is active all the time. So it has morning use, people leaving for work. It has afternoon use, retailers coming to shop. It has evening use, people coming back home from work. And it has nighttime use. It has communities that use the retail, use the restaurants, use the bars. So it becomes this self-contained, self-sufficient master plan that benefits everybody, the wider and the enclosed community. And then finally, outdoor and green spaces. Lindsay will take you through this in a lot more detail, but it's about giving the space back to the pedestrian, giving it back to people, creating spaces in and around the master plan to play, to dwell, to eat, to work, to live. It's about a series of key spaces that Lindsay will take you through on the next few slides.